Is it possible for Hololive to return to China? Short answer, no. It's okay, you can leave now, I understand you have many TikToks, Reels and YouTube Shorts to watch. But if you have the time, well, the answer is much more complicated. Allow me to explain. When starting a business or making a major decision that may impact your business, you have to compare both pros and cons. If the pros are much greater than the cons, that means that your decision can bring you greater benefits. But if it's reverse, that means that potential dangers are simply not worth it. So let's make some sort of hypothetical situation and use evidence and past experiences to determine what would happen if Hololive tried to integrate itself into the Chinese market once again. So class, please take a seat, open your books, and let Chikaalok bestow some knowledge upon you. So, let's start with the first and main reason for this major decision. And that is getting another source of revenue. This is pretty simple. More money means more opportunity. With greater resources, in theory, Hololive can bestow upon us better content by providing a better streaming equipment, funding projects, and making sure that talents have everything they need to succeed. As well, helping them with the marketing and making their subscriber counts grow. This is one of the main reasons why many companies bow to China, because this market has a lot of revenue to give. But you have to play by their rules, otherwise you get nothing. Second major benefit is that Hololive would have a much easier time introducing themselves to the Chinese audience. This is because they already have the existing audience there. So unlike Niji Sanji, who tried to penetrate into the Indian market, Hololive would have much easier time integrating themselves into already existing audience. Which brings us to the benefit number 3. Hololive has a lot, and I mean a lot of fans in China, and over the years, many different people discovered Hololive. Even though Hololive is banned there, on Bilibili there are so many clippers who clip Hololive members every single day. And let me tell you, those clips get an insane amount of views, basically making it easier for the new fans to discover Hololive and their culture. And of course, we cannot forget about all the restrictions getting lifted. If you're a new fan of Hololive, you probably asked yourself, why don't Hololive members play any Hoyoverse games? Or many gacha games that you play? Well, it's simple, because of the restrictions. I already talked about it, but I'm going to explain that very briefly. Okay, so Coco and Hato showed their analytics. Their analytics showed that certain percentage of their fans came from Taiwan. The China got angry, the government got involved, the Hololive was banned in China, yada yada yada, overly simplified. So imagine how many games and collabs Hololive would be able to do if those restrictions got lifted. There are probably some other benefits, but on paper, this sounds like a pretty good deal. But it doesn't. Let's start with the first con. Losing the trust of the established audience. Let me explain. Over the years, Hololive has gathered many fans from both global and the Japanese side. And those fans stayed, and they remember every horrible thing that China has done to Hololive. So imagine what would happen if Cover Corp came and said, "Hey guys, we are getting back to China, lol," and just started default dancing. The Hololive community would explode into a ball of rage that would rival or even surpass a great Genshin's first anniversary. The community would not forgive them. It would follow a huge backlash. Threats, angry comments, dislikes. It would be a disaster, which brings us to the second horrible consequence. You remember how I said that going to China would give you another source of revenue, but I didn't say that it would increase your overall revenue. And this is because angry fans from the established audience will stop supporting Hololive, not just vocally, but also monetary. Merch, collabs, exclusive content, they would stop supporting everything, and this is because in their eyes this is a major betrayal, and you are not going to support a company who doesn't care about its talents and their audience. So this would overall decrease the all revenue Hololive currently makes by a huge amount. And in the past, this was one of the main reasons why Hololive left China forever, because global community and the Asian community bring so much more money, while China's revenue was on the lower side. So this would be a financial disaster. But my friend, that is not all, there is worse. You think that China is just going to forgive them like that? No, they would have to grovel, beg, and basically become a laughingstock to the China and Chinese audience. Many companies, VTubers, would just stop working with them because they are not trustworthy. It would prove to anyone that Hololive is just another black company. Which brings us to the next horrible consequence. Politics would overtake Hololive. Can you imagine that? How every single talent in Hololive would be forced to talk about politics, about their support to the great CCP, how Taiwan doesn't exist and how it belongs to China. Can you really imagine that? Can you imagine somebody like Nene or Aqua talking about Chinese politics? Because I can't, and I don't want to. I watch VTubers to escape real life, and I don't need somebody to scream politics into my face. So this would absolutely ruin the content we enjoy. And this brings us to the most, in my opinion, horrible consequence. The talents will leave the company. Because imagine being forced to talk about politics over and over, being forced into this that you are not, being punished for something that was not your fault, just to appease people who don't care about you. I am 100% sure that some talents will immediately resign without even holding a graduation stream, just to get out as soon as possible. The first person who comes to mind is Fubuki, because she has such high morals and she is the most vocal one. If Hololive did something that she would not agree with, especially something that would endanger her and her colleagues, she would be the first one to leave. I'm 100% sure. I remember in the peak of Taiwan incident, she had a huge Chinese following and she basically gave them a middle finger, potentially ruined her career, and interacted with Coco, which in my opinion is a Giga Chad move. And I respect Fubuki a lot. And this is so horrible because Hololive to these girls means a lot. They have spent hundreds, thousands of hours rigorously training, improving, and becoming better and better so they can present themselves to their audience. They have sacrificed so much to come to this position, and to be stripped away from it, it sounds horrifying, honestly, because this is their livelihood. So I can imagine that some of them would try to exist in this new audience, but unable to cope with the pressure, backlash, scandals and everything. Eventually they would go on hiatus, on breaks that would last more and more and more until eventually they just resign. And we haven't even talked about safety concerns, because people like that who try to force their narratives into your mouth would try to find every single information about you and potentially endanger you and your family. And we saw a couple of cases how horrible the consequences can be. This would change how Hololive operates. It would be a major disappointment and betrayal to both viewers and talents. And it would probably collapse the entire company. This would be a huge net positive for other competitors such as V Shoujo and Nijisanji, because a major player has just disappeared out of the earth. And I don't want this to happen, never. And I am sure the Vishojo cannot take any more refugees this fast. So you can see from just few examples how horrible this decision could be. Of course, this is just a speculation, but the danger is still there and it needs to be addressed. Because even though 3 years have passed, those antis, they are still active to this day. Because those people are simply brainwashed losers. They have nothing better to do, nobody loves them, they are worthless in society, and this is the only way they can feel special. So let's hope that this never happens. For the livelihood of the talents. Thank you for listening to my nonsense. Alok out.